umami, bread, umami powder, bread. That's right, I'm going to show you how to make a bread that's so easy and simple to make using umami powder. That's right, and it's really simple. And guess what, y'all? You can make it the same day, and it doesn't take a lot of time to make at all. And the best thing about this bread is guess what? You can make a sandwich that looks like this. This is a recipe for my pork belly sandwiches using the umami bread. Check out my video on my other channel to see how to make this sandwich. But hey, let's cut into it. Nope, not on this video. In this video, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you how to make this tasty, very tasty, easy bread that's great for sandwiches when the bread is toasted. Let's make it. So with the bread, you're going to use 1.5 cups of warm water, which is about 90 degrees to 100 degrees. You're going to take some yeast, and that's going to be 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast, and you're going to let it bloom for about 10 minutes. That's right. You're going to lightly mix it in and put it to the side for 10 minutes so it can bloom. That's right. That's a big word. Bloom. When I hear bloom, I think of flowers. All right, back to the dough. All right, so we're going to use 3 cups of flour, and we're going to be using 2 tablespoons of this beauty right here, the Taki Umami powder seasoning made from shiitake mushrooms. This stuff gives some great flavor. All right, so we're going to take the 2 tablespoons of the umami powder, just like this, as the umami is jumping into the flour, and everybody is happy. The flour is happy, the umami powder is happy, because they're going to make an amazing baby called umami bread. And this thing right here, I believe it's a Danish tool for baking and mixing dough. And it really is a great tool to have in your kitchen for baking when it comes to mixing dough. It's almost as if you have 4 hands. That's how easy this thing makes mixing dough together. And I'll show you in just a minute. So after 10 minutes, the yeast have bloomed, and we're going to mix it in with the flour and the umami powder. That's right. And you're going to mix it in slow, and you're going to mix it in so that way everything gets wet. You want all of that flour to be nice and wet and mixed in, and it's going to come out looking really well mixed. That's right. I cannot tell you how important it is to make sure you mix it very well. All right, so back from the mixing side of things, I'm going to show you how it looks. And it looks just like this. See? Nothing is dry in there. It is all wet. All right, so now that I have the dough mixed, I'm going to put a damp towel on top of it, and I'm going to let it rest for about 2 hours. That's right. It's going to take 2 hours for this to sit, and it's going to just sit outside on the counter. Not outside of your house, but you know what I mean. It's going to sit not in the refrigerator. Oh yeah, by the way, make sure you have a pan and some water so that way you can have your oven nice and steamy when you put the bread in. Just remember that, okay? Yeah, make sure you have both of these things right here. These two, the pan and the water. All right, so. Okay, so before we move on, I'm going to freeze this frame because you need to know this. This is an important, very important step in the process. So now we're about to put the dough on some parchment paper with flour. But before you do this step, you need to take your pot and your lid to the pot, put it in the oven while it's cold, then turn the temperature of your oven to 450 degrees and let the oven preheat with the pot in it. After the pot has preheated and the oven has preheated, you're going to put the dough into the pot. But you have to wait 30 minutes. So after we do this step right here, of putting the dough on the parchment paper with flour, we have to let it sit for 30 minutes before we put it into the preheated oven and the preheated pot. Okay, unfreeze the frame. And we're going to put it on some parchment paper with flour, and I am going to spray my hands with non-stick cooking oil because this dough it's going to be sticky. It's going to be a really sticky dough. So don't be scared if your dough is sticky. You didn't do anything wrong. It's a sticky dough. And as you can see, the dough is not sticking to my hands because last time I made this, I didn't spray my hands and my hands were very, very sticky with the dough. All right, so this is the simple part. You don't have to know how to knead the dough or roll it or tuck it or anything like that. You're just going to take the dough while it's on the parchment paper with the flour and kind of just scoop the flour underneath the dough. That's right. Nothing big here. Nothing major going on. That's right. It's simple. It's easy. All right. So after you get the dough underneath there, you're going to shape it into a nice little ball, just like this. Yeah. And then you're going to put a damp towel on top of it and you're going to let it sit for 30 minutes. And during those 30 minutes, your oven's preheating with the pot. Okay. And now my pot is nice and hot. Be careful. Do not touch your pot with bare hands. I made that mistake once and it hurt like crazy. All right, so we have the hot pot. We have the dough on the parchment paper. And we're just going to tuck the edges of the parchment paper and we're going to gently lift the dough so that way it can still maintain its shape as close as possible. And we're going to lift it and we're going to put it into the cast iron pot. That's right. And then after that, we're going to take some scissors. Yeah, we're going to take some scissors and we're going to trim the parchment paper so that way the lid can sit on the pot without having a bunch of air gaps in between it. All right, so this is the tricky part. I'm trying to score the dough. Now this dough is really, really wet and I'm not too sure if a score is going to take shape on this, but I'm going to try it anyway just to see because the dough is really wet. With a firmer dough, it's a lot easier to score your dough. And scoring pretty much means cutting shapes into your dough, and then when the dough cooks, it looks beautiful. All right, so now that I have the dough on there, and now that I have attempted to score it, I'm going to take some more of this beautiful, tasty umami powder. That's right. I'm going to sprinkle it on there, and it's going to be so beautiful when it comes out, and so tasty. I'm excited about this. All right, so I'm going to take the pot with the dough in it and put it in the oven for 30 minutes. And then after the 30 minutes, I'm going to open the oven up just like this and take the lid off. That's right. I'm going to take the lid off and I'm going to let it cook for another 10 minutes. That's right. Now, the magic. Here we go. 10 minutes later, the bread looks just like this. A beautiful bread. Now this bread is only good when toasted, in my opinion. When you make slices and you toast the bread, it is a beautiful, crunchy, tasty bread. Just keep that in mind. If you eat it by itself, you might not like it as much because it doesn't give the flavor out. But when you toast it, it comes out beautiful. But hey, you can try it any way you want. I love this bread for sandwiches. All right, so now that I have the bread done and it's nice and hot, I'm looking at those little flakes of umami powder. Look at it. Now the umami powder is called umami powder, but it's actually the texture of salt. So that's why you see the little flakes in there. It's because it actually has the form of a coarse salt. And the smell of it, amazing. And now it's time to cut into this beautiful, tasty umami bread. That's right. It's so easy to make, so easy to cut, and so easy to toast and make into a beautiful sandwich. That's right. It smells beautiful. It tastes amazing. And guess what I'm going to do with this sandwich once again? After I cut some slices up, I'm going to make this beauty right here, a pork belly sandwich using umami bread. Now, if you want to see this recipe, the link will be down below because I do have another cooking channel and it's called The Sandwich King. That's right. I make sandwiches on that video. Well, on that channel too. So, hey, check out the link below. Make sure you like and you subscribe. And hey, if you have any comments or questions, leave a comment down below as I cut into this beautiful, tasty sandwich. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.